I'm Jim Csek. You're watching Kelowna. That's an awfully big pause there. I'm Jim Csek now, and I have with me Jason Mann on the mic in the back, the producer of the show. So we've got an exciting little show for you this morning. We're going to start off with British Columbia's inflation rate and the Bank of Canada's, or not the Bank of Canada, the Canada's inflation rate. Inflation dropped to 1.6 in Canada versus the estimate of 1.8, so that's good news. BC still leads the way with the highest inflation in Canada, though, at 2%. Inflation really tied to energy, though. You know, if they could get the energy prices down by removing the carbon tax, just think what the inflation rate would be. I think that's what people really have to look at. They're probably going to try and jump in front of this and say, look at all the good work they've done with getting the inflation rate down. Just think if the carbon tax is removed, what the inflation rate would be. That would be huge. So right during this election, we're talking about it in BC, even EB, Rustad, and First to Know are saying they would like to change the carbon tax, but EB and First to Know are saying that it is reliant on the federal government's position, though. So inflation down, that's good news, and that should, they've been talking this morning about a half-point drop in the interest rates in the next Bank of Canada meeting, so I would expect that as well. I also published my first opinion piece on Kelowna Now. We've got a nice little image to show you of what the future of Kelowna could look like. I don't know if you can make that full screen, Jason, so we can kind of like see that and leave that up for a bit. So there's a lot of talk about abundance versus scarcity. Lots of political parties like to use fear and scarcity to kind of drive their message all the time. Canada is one of the richest resource nations in the world. We should be living in a very, very abundant world as opposed to one of fear and scarcity. That piece is going to be up on Kelowna Now. This is kind of, I asked AI to make a futuristic image of Kelowna. The mountains look pretty good, actually. So we should be looking through the lens of abundance, and abundance for all as opposed to scarcity. AI will drive most things to trend to zero. Energy is one of the key factors. We'll talk about that a little bit near the end of the show. We're talking about energy as well. But look at that image. Pretty interesting, though. On Friday, we hosted here a Tesla event. Well, Tesla Talks, because they had the big 1010 event. So we had the full lineup of Teslas out front of Landmark 6, including the Cybertruck, which drew a huge crowd. I think that's probably the ultimate midlife crisis vehicle. What do you think, Jason? Ultimate midlife crisis vehicle?
It's definitely a crowd stopper.
Everybody,
kids love it too.
Kids to adults, everybody wanted to see the Cybertruck for sure, and it draws those crowds wherever that thing goes. But a lot of questions were fairly basic, like, can you drive these things outside of the city? I just went to Calgary this weekend. I've gone to Calgary many times and gone to Vancouver many times with my Tesla, and I've gone in 45 below too. So they do work outside the city, even though some people think not. And you drive an EV as well, Jason. And you drive yours outside the city too, don't you?
I do. I take it out every now and then.
And you have a Kia, a Kona?
Kona Hyundai.
Hyundai Kona. There you go.
The Hyundai is really good, like for in the city where you're looking for a lot of tight parking spots and things like that. It's a little runabout for sure. Teslas might have a little more, you know.
Well, the range and the superchargers make them a lot better for longer road trips for sure, right? So the supercharger, which they have opened up to all the other manufacturers too. I think most of them anyway. Then we got another slide there for you on the election. It is election time. Make sure you get out and vote. Kelowna Now has some of the best coverage with all the candidates. So BC, NDP ahead amongst women and older voters, but the Conservatives are ahead with the 18 to 34 young men. I think a lot of young men are probably disappointed with where everything's going, like price of housing and all that kind of stuff. So older people usually just don't like change, right? So I think that leads to that. But advanced polls are open right now. And the day of the vote is October 19th. So make sure you get out and vote and exercise that vote and vote for the party that you think is going to, in my mind, that leads to abundance as opposed to a bunch of scarcity and fear tactics and scaring you all the time. I think it's time for a better vision of tomorrow as opposed to how terrible the world is. What do you think, Jason?
It is. I have my vote sticker, done it already in advance because we'll be here on Saturday, of course, election day, covering the election and well into the evening and nightfall. So
we'll be here till they call it.
Yes.
So we'll have Renee Merrifield on the desk. I think we'll start around 7 o'clock. And then and she has the knowledge of all the candidates. She's not in the election, so it'll be great. She'll have all that knowledge to share with everybody, and we'll be going through. We'll have reporters out at the different campaign headquarters, and we'll try to bring you some of the best coverage in the Okanagan, Central Okanagan. The last one today, we did one just recently where Microsoft is restarting 3 Mile Island, because one of the things that AI needs is a lot of power. And you can see right now Google turning to nuclear in bid to power AI centers. So power can come from a variety of sources, including, what we have in Canada with oil and gas, LNG, solar, wind, hydroelectric. British Columbia is very, very rich in hydroelectric. 98% of electricity comes from hydro. But Google's looking at nuclear. Microsoft's looking at nuclear. So power is going to be one of the most sought after things. Alberta sits in kind of like, I think, the catbird seat where they have a blend of almost everything. British Columbia could lead in that respect too. So we just need a government with a vision. Solar is now the cheapest form of energy out there, and the quickest to deploy. Obviously, nuclear SMRs take a while to license and employ, but they're looking at the future as well. But baseload energy is what everybody's after. Anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously all the resources we need to bridge this technological evolution that clearly needs to happen, but it just needs a plan.
Sounds like we lost the Twitter feed. Josh just came and told me that, but we'll put it back up once we're going here. So that's the morning show, I guess, and we hope you enjoy it. We're going to try and get better as we go here. So with that said, look for my opinion piece on Kelowna Now. Look for the election coverage on Kelowna Now, and also we'll be here October 19th all day.
And with that said, a quick little snapshot of our election coverage as we end our morning broadcast.
Sure, that'd be great.
Get ready to engage with the voices that matter. Kelowna Now has gathered more Central Okanagan candidates in the provincial election than any other news source, giving you the chance to truly meet the individuals vying to represent you as MLA. Discover what issues drive them, hear their perspectives, and see how they tackle the tough questions. This is your opportunity to connect with the candidates and make an informed decision before you cast your vote. Don't miss out. Check out our exclusive coverage and empower your voting choice.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.